Welcome to the Blender workshop. Blender is a 3D modeling software. Before I start, I just want to say how I got into Blender, because I think it's really cool. You know, around the pandemic in 2020, a lot of us got like hobbies and such. Personally, I started making Mario Kart Wii custom tracks. And through that, I learned how to use Blender. And so here, I just got just a little like model viewer for one of mine. But as you guys know from the Discord announcement that we're going to be doing Blender, do you have all Blenders installed for any of you who want to follow along? Okay, one person said yes, so we're going to assume everyone's ready. Okay, that's...
It's on Steam.
Yep. Okay.
Wait. Can you go over the instructions and how to do it?
Oh, blender.com. As we know now, it's also on Steam. All right, for all of you guys who are on laptops, which is every single one of us, Blender, you absolutely need a mouse. Just so you guys know. Blender, whenever you open it, you'll be greeted by a little splash screen showing an image created with Blender. This is right now advertising Flow, which is a whole movie animated in Blender.
One best animated picture.
I did?
I did, yeah.
Oh, damn, really? You see, if you learn Blender, guys, from this workshop, you're going to get an Oscar. So keep that in mind. So you can just click off of it, and that will bring you to a new scene. So right now, I'm going to enable a thing called screencast keys. All right, give me one more.
Is this the right version?
Yes, this is Blender on your desktop.
God.
It's all right. It's all right. Add-ons, screencast.
Wait, no, it's get extension.
Oh, get extensions. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm going to download this so you guys can see what I'm typing. Allow online act. Oh, we're not connected. Are we connected to the internet?
We should be, yeah.
Okay. We already have that installed, it says. There we are. Okay. So I'm going to enable some keys so you can see whenever I type. So you see in the bottom left there, that really tiny illegible thing that shows like some letters. That is going to show you any number I type or letter or key press I make just in case I do something and you don't understand why I did it or how it happened. So we're going to hide that menu. So right here, this is your default scene. I'm going to explain a few of the elements you're seeing before we do anything with them. So in our top right, up there, is our scene. It's our hierarchy. You can select on the different objects in here, much like Unity and Godot. And for this purpose, I'm just going to delete the camera. So what I did there is I clicked, so I'm going to Control-Z to put that back. So I clicked on the object in the hierarchy and I press X to delete it. I'm going to do that for the camera and the light, because with Blender you can do rendering of lights and animations, but today we're just going to be doing static objects. On the left side of the screen, we have our various tools. The only one you really need to use is the Move tool, which gives you the arrows around any geometry you're holding. The next thing is how to move around. Oh, question.
What is that thing in the middle of the world?
This one?
Yes. And what is its utility?
Well, Sam, thanks for asking, because you figured out yesterday when you were trying Blender.
What happens when you shift and
Okay, so this basically is very unimportant. This is the point at which objects spawn in. So I can show that later, but if I delete a cube and then go into Add, Mesh, Cube, it's going to spawn right on that little icon. If I do Shift right click, it's going to move that icon. And then if I add another cube, it's going to spawn on there. This is really annoying because you're using let me get into movement real quick. So to move, you're using Shift and the middle mouse button to pivot around. To rotate.
But if you shift and click, that happens.
Very true. If you shift and click, you move that, which you're using Shift for basically every movement control, so you're going to just do that a bunch.
Okay.
All right, so for middle mouse button, you're going to rotate around. And actually, it looks like we're rotating around that point. That's actually, I didn't know that. So if I shift over here, am I going to rotate around there? No. Okay. Never mind. So again, to move, shift middle mouse button to pivot, and then just hold the middle mouse button to rotate. And and also use the scroll wheel / middle mouse button to zoom in and out. So between these controls, you're going to be able to basically do anything for movement. There's also shift holding, what is it? It's like shift, or it's control plus holding the middle mouse button gives you a controlled zoom in. So if like I want to make sure I really see the corner of this block right here, I'll use control middle mouse button. Whereas if you scroll in, it's going to go in steps. All right, so in front of us, cube, right? Everyone agree? Cube. We're gonna notice in the top left, we are in object mode. That lets us just kind of click on the different objects that we have in our hierarchy. Right now, we only have the cube. But if we click on it, right, and we press tab, we're now in edit mode. And so from here, we get to edit the geometry of any mesh that we are touching, or that we are editing. So I'm going to go and select the move tool again because it's very helpful. And you'll notice two things. One, next to edit mode, we got these three buttons here. It's this shows the level of vertices that you're going to be touching. So we have vertex mode, edge mode, and face mode. So for vertex mode, you're going to be touching the individual vertices or vertices of the cube. So this is where any edges connect. And then you can select it and then move it around using the arrows, or just grab the center of it in the circle and just free move it. Free moving is not recommended because you're not going to accurately place it wherever you're intending to place it. So using the arrows to move is going to be a lot friendlier for you. I'm going to Control Z those away. Everyone okay so far? Silence is a yes.
Yes.
Not out of context. So now we're going to go to edge mode. Now we're going to go to edge mode and
That's a very smart footnote.
okay, so basically every two vertices you can connect with edges, and you can much like the vertices individually, you can move the edges by selecting them and using the move tools. So here I just made it kind of, one side's higher than the other now. So I'm going to Control Z those. And then face mode is the third one. You can select the faces themselves and move them around. You can also, again, use the middle one. Going to Control Z those. Actually, I'm going to press A. Everything's highlighted. So whatever you are currently selecting is going to always be in orange. And I'm going to press X, and you get the various delete menus for if you want, because we're in edit mode. If we're in object mode and we press X, it would just offer to delete the whole thing. So we can either delete vertices, edges, or faces. Because we're selecting everything no matter what, it's just going to delete everything. So I'm going to go into object mode. And we still have, even though all the mesh for the cube is gone, it's still in our object hierarchy. So I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to bring back, from the mesh tab, I'm going to bring a plane. By the way, if you guys did shift right click earlier and you moved where your center, like where you're going to spawn in new meshes, you can go into this little tab on the right, this little arrow, open it up, go to view, and go under 3D cursor. You can just set those to 0, and I'll put it back at your origin. So now everything spawns at the origin again. With this plane, right, planes are just 2D shapes in 3D. Gonna go to edit mode, and I'm going to make this into a 3D shape by just clicking on it, right? Bear with me. Pressing E. And now we get to extrude it. So extending a mesh in Blender is called extruding. You can't actually pivot your view while you're extruding, otherwise it thinks you're trying to pivot the mesh and it does all these weird things. So I'm going to Control Z. If you saw when I pressed E, a blue line appears. This is because we are extruding on the Z axis, so perpendicular to the 2D plane. If we want to extrude in any direction we want, we just press Z again, and now we can do whatever with it. I agree though with Blender's default that we should be extruding upwards, so I'm just press Z, and now we are back to our cube. So you can right now I am in the face mode, right? I can go into edge mode or edge selection, and I can extend an edge. Sometimes if it doesn't give you an axis by default, you can press an axis. So I'm going to press the Z key to make it so I extrude on the x-axis.
How did you extrude on an axis, on any axis again?
Oh, so on any axis. So I'm just going to extrude with E, and it's by default it's going to be this, or it will be by default upwards in the Z direction. You can just press Z again to remove it, or press X to extrude on the x-axis, or Y to extrude on the y-axis.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
What if you want to extrude like 45 degrees? Like say.
I see what you mean. Here's the cool thing. I'm gonna press extrude and 1. And so that looks like just a kind of random distance, right? So I'm gonna go up to this menu here. You don't need to follow this one. I'm gonna go up to this menu here. I'm gonna press, they might have changed it since I've been here. But no, not statistics.
You can just eyeball it. You can just grab the edge and just.
Yeah,
it looks like 45.
Well, you're able to actually see the measurements.
Does it have to be exactly 45 degrees?
Yes.
I guess that's what he's trying to get.
Yeah. Well, okay. You're gonna have to look up how to do measurements on your own. Normally, you're not gonna need measurements, but what you do is if you want it by a certain degrees, you're gonna have to do a little math. What you do is you extrude it by the amount of degrees of length and height that you want. So if you want 45, you extrude by 1 on the y-axis, and then you extrude, and then you lift it, so move it on the z by 1, and now it's at a 45 degree because it's one run, 1 rise. So you could do that to the other side too. I'm going to extrude z by 1, and I'm going to move it on the y-axis by 1. And you see, because the positive y-axis is to the left, it didn't necessarily go the direction we were hoping it would go. So I'm going to go and grab the y-axis arrow, and I'm going to go by -2, because we already extruded by 1. And so now we have our box. Quick question, guys. And while you guys are catching up, what is like whenever you go and get something from Amazon or you have something shipped to you, what is the most important thing about that box? Yeah?
Will it survive?
I mean, I guess that's important too, but you want it to have your thing inside it, right? So this box has nothing inside it. It is just it is a box with, it's just a cube with little flaps on it. So I'm gonna go into the face selection mode, right? I'm going to right click. I'm going to insert faces. And see, now I can, by moving my mouse, I can scale how large I want this new face to be. And so I'm gonna say about there. And what I can then do is extrude downwards. I'm gonna see, boop, that's too far down, and just above it. And so now we have a 3-dimensional box here. with the little flaps. As you guys see, these flaps are not in 3D either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude them to make them 3D. And you see this way, right? I just press extrude. And the automatic axis that it's saying to go on is the z-axis because it's blue. But that's not up, right? Is that up, guys? No, right?
Well, it's up in.
That's normal.
It's not.
It's That's the right word. It's normal. It's perpendicular to the plane because we are using the local axis. So this is the z-axis relative to the plane we're extruding from. And so we can press Z, it will go in a free form. Z again, it will go into the global axis of Z, and Z another time, and it will go into the local axis. So I'm going to extrude up a little bit there. I'm going to extrude up a little bit there. But if you notice now our box, its edges, right? They're different lengths. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to Control Z, and I'm going to select both faces, and I'm going to extrude. Oh, you can only do global. You can't do two local ones at once. That's all right. But you can basically just show in there you can extrude two at once. What's up?
Very quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, how big is the box? Just the box part.
See, I don't.
It looks like 2 by 2 or something.
I don't know the measurements right now because I've not used this for. Oh, hey, edge length. There we go. It is exactly 2 by 2. Well, 2 by 1.8.
Okay. So when it comes to like a box, you know how it's just like both of the sides are usually half.
Yeah. Oh, so you should extend it exactly by 1.
Yeah. Say.
Well, these ones are 1. Remember,
Yeah,
because
but they're 1 across, 1 up, so that would be like square root of 2. What if you want it to be like a 1?
what you can do is you can extend it. Oh, no. They're not 1 rise, 1 run. They are exactly 1 because remember when we made them, I'm going to go back. I'm going to exit out. I'm going to select these ones, right? Using the select tool, and I'm going to press X for faces. I'm going to remove this one, X for faces. If you remember, Brian, what I did was I clicked this and I extended extruded Y by 1. So I did -1 because it's in the negative Y direction. And then I didn't extrude again. I instead raised by 1. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's longer.
What you can do then is you can just kind of eyeball it. Or you can input exactly root 2. That is a very good point, though. There's probably a way to have it exactly fold over, but honestly, that goes farther than my personal knowledge for making Mario Kart tracks.
Well, if you're an artist, you're not going to be like doing scientific calculations.
Well, if you're doing it for design, it's going to be pretty important. That's on. Yeah, what's up?
Well, if you make the lengths that you're moving, like the rise and the run.
Yeah.
If you make the lengths 1 over square root of 2, you would actually get a 1.
Yeah.
Long,
So you just need to type exactly move by square root of 2 rise, run, move by square root of 2 run.
But the square root of 2 is an irrational number.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh, wait. Irrational versus real. See, guys, I got out of math minor. I was trying to do that last semester, and I said, hell no. All right, moving on. I'm going to introduce one more thing on this box, and that's I'm going to extend this one up, right? And I'm going to press R and press Z, so I'm going to rotate right around the Z-axis, so like that. This is just to show off the rotation tool, which is very useful. I'm going to extrude it again. I'm going to extrude it by a unit of 2. I'm going to just turn off the units since I don't think we need them now. And I'm going to press R. I'm going to press, you can rotate X direction, Y direction, or Z direction. These are the global ones. If you want to go by local ones, you can go onto this global tab on the very top. And you can go, oh, I want to see its local directions, but right now the global matches the local, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to rotate with R. I'm going to go on the Z, and I'm going to say 33. And so that goes 33 degrees in the positive Z direction. And so like a lot like when you're extruding or you are moving something, you can type in the number and it will move by that amount. Last thing I'm going to do is still selecting this face. I'm going to press S. And now we get to scale. You can scale on the, I'm currently selecting only a 2D plane, so I'm going to select this rotated cube here. I'm going to scale in the Z direction, and that's just going to make it really tall. I'm going to scale in the X direction, and that's going to be Y. And I'm going to scale in the Y direction by just pressing Y, and it's going to be really long. So, like before, you can just press, why is that bad? All right, you can press the letters to make it scale or move or rotate the specific axis that you press. So, as I mentioned, this is a weird daemon box. This is not like anything you guys have ever seen before. Yes, Sam?
What about like making subdivisions or like can you make divisions somehow?
Well, what you're referring to is, yeah, subdivision. You can click right. You can in face mode or whenever you have a face selected, you can click right click and subdivide, and that will just divide it into fourths. So if you want to add like an extra level of detail and edit something just a little bit, you can subdivide a face. But I'll go more into that later. But as I pointed out, this is a weird daemon box. It's not like anything you guys have probably seen before. And so I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to start a new little example for something you guys have probably seen before. Man, the outlive situation's crazy. All right. So last time around, I didn't get to texturing until like the very end. And this time I want to put more emphasis on texturing. Hello, Tunde. And so I'm going to get a new cube. Garrett, the toaster just fell off. And I'm going to, in the top right here, I'm going to go into the material viewport. And so that's just going to get a little brighter. And what I'm going to go is actually, I'm going to go into click UV editing. And I'm going to, if you get in the UV editing tab at the top, you're going to notice that half your stuff's missing up here. And so what you need to do is click the middle mouse button and just slide it over to get the rest of your menu. So I'm going to go into the material viewport here on the right. And we're going to texture this into a Minecraft crafting table. I know, Matt, insane, right? So I'm going to go, by the way, I am in edit mode on this cube. Again, if you're in object mode, click on it, press tab. Tab again to go into object mode. So now we're in edit mode, and I'm going to press on the material tab, and I'm going to click add a new material. And this, I'm going to name it just crafting 1. Pay attention to this part because it's really unintuitive. I'm going to add an image to this texture, I'm going to press this yellow dot in base color, and I'm just going to press image texture. So again, normally it's going to be some form of color there. Oh, it's going to be a base color. And if you want to make it an image texture, click on the yellow dot, go into image texture, and now you can open up an image. And so in Jake's files, I'm going to go here, VGDA temp. You can get an image view here by just on the top right, this little button that shows 4 big squares. I'm going to grab this paper crafting table. And that's going to automatically apply the texture because we only have one texture. And so I'm going to press A. And you might be able to see there's some white outlines on the left side of the screen. If you don't see the whatever image that you threw up there, it could be any image just for this example. It's going to be you're going to have to click this button and pick from all the images you've imported. And like if you just see this, you just got to click up there and find whatever image you threw in. So on the left side of the screen, this is our UV editing tab. I'm going to press A, and it's going to highlight a representation of our cube. So have you guys ever, when you were a kid, did you ever print out these like paper Minecraft blocks? Or did you ever try to make a Minecraft texture pack? Yeah, okay. So cubes are projected as these crosses. So I'm going to move this around. I'm going to rotate it -90 degrees. And you'll see that this is going to mimic a crafting table because this is how a cube is folded. So I'm just going to have to mess around with the scale. Like I'll scale on the x-axis to get it a little wider. And that's actually pretty good. Yeah, good enough. You can make adjustments by clicking on individual faces and then editing those ones. Let's say I have everything selected here, and I just want to select one face, but I don't want to just select each individual vertice. I'm just going to go to the top right here and click the face selection mode. So much like how in the edit mode there's the vertex, edge, and face selection, there is the vertex, edge, and face selection for the UV. And this allows you, it's like on the top here we have the face of the crafting table. This just allows you to move around what image is going to be pasted on top of there. See, like here, this one, the black edge is too far in one direction, so I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to move it to the side so we even it out more. Yeah, and it looks pretty decent from here. So that was pretty easy because the default mapping of a cube, which is just this T shape, lined up perfectly with this texture. But much more often than not, it's not going to line up perfectly. So I'm going to add in object mode in the viewport here, I'm going to add in another cube. I'm going to raise that up, move it over. I'm going to create a new material. I'm going to call this crafting 2. And I'm going to get an image texture. And this image texture from the Jake files is a little different. So I'm going to preview it by going on the left side of the screen and clicking on the crafting table image. So as we can see here, our T shape is projected onto the map there. And this time we can't use the same tricks we used on the other one, right? Here, if we look at the other texture, it lines up perfectly with this T-shape layout. But with this texture, the default cube, right, that doesn't line up at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do UV, right? Normally, whenever you have a geometry, you want to do UV and unwrap usually, but that just gives you the default like extended geometry. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do UV and then reset. So what UV reset does is it makes every single face of your geometry that you have selected take up the entire kind of size of your texture. And so from there you can alter it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in this UV tab, I'm going to click Constrain to Image Bounds. And what that's going to do is going to make it so I can't just drag something outside of the image. And I'm going to select all of this cube, all the sides of it. I'm going to go A, I'm going to go scale, X, and I'm going to do 1 divided by 3. That's not 1/3. I'm just going to go scale X, and I'm going to drag it to about the size I think it should be. And you see here we're making some progress. Now all of the crafting table, every side of it has a texture that looks remotely correct, if not a little weird. And so for the top one here, should be the top of the crafting table, so I'm going to drag that over. Again, I can just drag it as far right as I want because we disabled the image bounds, or we constrained the image bounds from the tab. For all the sides here, they're a little rotated, so I'm going to just, in the UV tab, I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to go R90. And now they're all upside down. I'm going to go R180. And now they're all right side up. And I'm going to select 2 of them, bring them to the side, so we have a different, and boom. Now we have a second crafting table. This one we had to manually texture, but it was still really easy because it is just a, it's just a cube stuff. Yes. This ain't connected, man.
Oh.
Wait, can you fan the camera around a little bit?
Oh, sure. Where?
Keep going. Keep going. Right about there.
What about it?
Something about it's off.
Oh, about this table?
Yeah.
Well, it's because I hastily did it from a paper printout.
Okay. Wait, so
So this is just the texture itself.
okay, so if that works better, why would someone use that to cover a key or something?
Can you be a little more specific?
Like the second method where you have T-maps.
Yeah.
It looks like it works much more effectively.
Okay, so what I was showing there was that for this first method, we just apply an image to the shape, right? To the mesh for a texture. And in the second method, I used a texture that wasn't the default shape. So again, the default shape for the UV mapping of this, which is what this is called, was this T. Or now sometimes it just wants to do whatever it is. Now it's a straight line. And so we had to modify that. So with the first example, we didn't have to modify it because our texture also lined up in that T shape. I'm just showing that when you have to kind of adjust it for the texture.
Okay.
That can be especially seen right now as I'm going to add a plane. And if you're wondering how I'm switching between the viewport and not having the viewport, it's just the tabs at the top. So UV editing versus layout. I'm going to move this plane up. I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to scale it up. And Sam, you know how you said subdivides? I'm just going to subdivide it a few times. And then I'm going to...
Can you turn that into water?
Probably, honestly. That's enough. That's way too much geometry. Actually, I have a better idea. I'm not going to subdivide it. I'm going to show this thing on the bottom left here. So all these are different tools. These are little shortcuts. This is the knife tool. It's good for butchering your geometry. So you just click on spots, press enter, and it will make a cut there. And I'm going to make another cut around there, press enter. So now those are different faces because we made cuts, and I'm going to remove them. And so now we have this shape, right? Kind of looks like a little snake. How do you think we're going to apply the crafting table texture to that? The answer is actually, it's very simple. So I'm going to give it the crafting. And that doesn't even look too bad to start with, so let's make it worse. Yeah, that's better. So that's not a great look so far. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go into the face mode, select it, and I'm going to unconstrain those image bounds. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scale it up by the y-axis here. Oh, that's really off. I'm going to first go to UV. I'm going to UV unwrap the middle here, and that's going to make everything the right size. And from here, I'm just going to scale up. And so now everything's in a lot more of a uniform shape. Let's say I don't want this crafting table right here. Oh, by the way, with the image, as soon as you go off of the image bounds, it doesn't like end. It's not like you're not on an image. This pattern that you see with the image texture on the left in the UV vertiport, it just repeats. So if we go up, it's going to be another one of these. Here, I can show it better on the crafting table. So right here, if we go up, it's going to be another one of the same images. If we go to the right, it's just going to be a pattern of the 3 again. So just because in the viewport you just see the one image, it actually is tiled infinitely. So when you have a shape that's non-conformal like this, you can just extend it outwards and it will just get a tiled version. This is great for like big textures. Like if you're making, let's say you're making a field of grass, you got one big grass texture, you just scale it up a lot. Or scale the mesh over the grass texture a lot. So I'm going to scale by the x-axis here. I'm going to shrink it because I just want the 2 not tops of the crafting table. And so that doesn't look, so we have our weird shape not looking horrible now, right? Like before it was all weirdly portioned and stretched, and now it looks intentional like that. All right. Any questions so far about UV editing? So the process of texturing again is called UV editing, by the way.
We're gonna get into making normal maps from textures.
No. But Blender, right?
That's a substance painter. Substance painter can make normal maps for you automatically.
Alright. Thank you.
I will say, you ever any questions about Blender that I can't cover in the scope of this workshop? There's a bunch of tutorials out there, both written and also video-based tutorials for just about any feature you can imagine. Like Blender also is open source and has a lot of plugins. Like there's a plugin that will convert any mesh you make into like Legos, which then you can 3D print. Blender can also, you can export it as STL files and 3D print them. It's pretty cool. Oh, while we're talking about exporting, I should mention, ooh, I just realized right now, you see on the top left there, it says unsaved. That's a huge no. Blender crashes all the time. So guys, Control S, everyone, Control S. And I can just save it in here. Okay. And just save your .blend file somewhere. Because anytime you do, remember how I was saying in the UV tab, right? You can do UV unwrap. Anytime you do that, there's like a non-zero chance you're just gonna crash. Blender, just it's a reminder, it's free. It's not amazing, but it's free. But it's actually pretty cool because like like I said, it's open source. There's a lot of tutorials. There's a lot of plugins. I've never really had any problems with it besides just crashing when I don't want it to crash. For exporting, by the way, you can export it as a lot of things. FBX is what's used for importing into game engines like Unity. But Blender is really cool, and because it's open source, you can, like someone made just native integration into Unity, so you can just drag .blend files into Unity. So .blend is like the files type that Blender uses, but you can just drag a .blend into Unity and it'll be like as if you just imported the model. But if you want to just, do it standard way, you can just export it as an FBX and it will save your 3D model like that. All right, I have one more little thing to do before we get into anything complicated. I'm gonna make this crafting table into a clock tower. And it's pretty simple. So I'm going to first extrude this. I'm gonna get into object mode, extrude Z. Oh, I'm not in, oh, I'm supposed to be in edit mode. Oh, you see what I did just there? I made everything in the wireframe orientation. That's because I just pressed regular Z, and that's how you switch. You can go into the solid viewport, just these top 4 buttons. You can go into the rendered viewport, which rendered is for lighting. So if you want to bake lighting or just have lighting for an animation, you go to the rendered viewport, press Z to go to the material viewport, which shows your textures again. You can also, it's probably too much, but in the vertex mode right here, again, you can click here and go to texture, and now you have basically just a darker version of all your textures, but none of the fancy stuff that you can do regularly with the materials tab. So I'm going to go into this cube. I'm going to select it. I'm going to scale Z by 5. Bye, Jomar. I'm going to scale Shift Z, which is scaling in every direction but Z, just because I want it a little thicker. I'm going to go into the UV editing, and I'm going to no longer constrain image bounds, and I'm going to select these 4 faces, which are now really stretched, and I'm going to scale them on the y-axis by 5. Oh, did I not? We're still constrained. Scale them on the y-axis by 5, so now it will be like that. And I forgot one. That's okay. I'm just going to select it, go back to UV editing, A scale Y5, and it's back. The top here, I'm going to extrude the face and scale in. And then I'm going to extrude the face again. I'm going to go into tiny crafting table. I'm going to go into the vertex mode. So now I am just selecting the 4 vertices on the corners of this tiny crafting table. I'm going to right click and I'm going to merge vertices at center. This is just going to take the average position of all the vertices and make it 1 vertice. So it's going to give us a point like that. Okay. This looks weird right at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select those faces. Yeah, I'm going to select those faces. I'm going to go back to the UV editing tab. Look, this is why it looks weird. Look at those maps. That's supposed to represent our weird shapes over there. That is just lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do UV unwrap. So when I used to use Blender, I primarily used version 2.9. Blender is at like version 5 now. This is currently Blender version 4.4.3. So there used to be one version of UV unwrap, but I'm just going to use UV conformal because that seems to me what used to be the default UV unwrap. And that's going to give us this weird thing. And if you'll see, this still goes over itself, right? Because like this shape right here is overlapping with this shape, and you still don't want that because it's going to still look weird. So this is actually great. I'm going to press Control S to save because this is exactly when Blender loves to crash. I'm going to go UV, and I'm going to use Smart UV Project. And so this is going to try to find the best way to make things not overlap. And also it will probably crash. Okay, we got lucky. So look, now we have weird geometry, but no overlaps. So I'm going to put that all over the crafting table. And it seems here we got 3 different islands. So actually I'm going to select them individually using this 4th tab here. I'm going to select the first island. I'm going to straighten it out a bit. I'm going to select the second island, straighten that out a bit. And I'm going to select the 3rd island, and it's already straight. So I'm going to Control A. I'm going to just press A, not Control A. and scale them up a little bit. And now it looks still pretty weird. I'm just going to see if that looks worse. All right. Maybe I just shove it all into one solid color, which is a good way, which is just something you can also do. Like if you just don't want to have a texture on something, want it just to be a solid color, you can really just shrink it just to cover 1 pixel of the original image, and now it's just a solid color. We'll go with this for the, that doesn't look great. We'll go for this for the crafting table top of the tower. But what I want to really show off, right, is modifiers. So this little wrench here allows you to have modifiers on all your objects. If ever you want to go into character modeling, subdivision surface is going to be your main one. Let's see what happens if it's going to make this it's going to make the clock tower become a clock obelisk. But right now I'm going to use actually the Boolean modifier. But I'm not going to do anything with it yet. I'm going to go add. I'm going to add a mesh of cylinder. That's going to give us this cylinder down here. I'm going to rotate it. I'm on the x-axis by 90 degrees. I'm going to use this tool in the top right to look at it in this direction. Actually, we're on the negative y-axis. I'll go to the positive y-axis. I'm going to stick this, I'm going to stick it through here. I'm going to actually scale it by scale it by not Z. Scale Y. Yeah, scale shift Y. So it's not going any deeper. I just want it to look bigger on the clock face itself. And so what the Boolean modifier is going to do is I'm going to go back to the clock tower. I'm going to select the cylinder I added, and I'm going to go difference, and I'm going to apply. You haven't seen anything, but if I take up the cylinder, now there's a little indent where the cylinder used to be. Now we can get to texturing. This is going to be like our little clock face. I'm going to add a new texture. This is going to be
Could you do
the...
the difference thing one more time, please?
Oh, of course.
So you added the Boolean to the.
So I add the Boolean to the tower,
Alright.
and by default, it's going to look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was I selected what object.
Oh, so the object is cylinder.
Yes, I select the cylinder object, or you can use any object you want to cut a hole into something. And then you can test by just making the cylinder invisible here.
I see.
And that you have to apply the modifier.
Okay.
Anyone else having
How do
trouble?
I apply the-
Oh, that's easy. There's a little arrow right here.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yep, just click apply. Cylinder's done. So I'm going to now add another texture. This is going to be clock face. I will take an image from the computer again. It's VGD again. You'll notice this time we did not automatically start seeing that texture. That's because you only start seeing that for the first material that you apply to a mesh. And so for the second, third, fourth, etc., you have to select specifically the faces that you want to be affected by that mesh and just press assign. So right here, I'm going to select what I want to be the clock face. I'm going to go to my clock face material, and I'm going to press assign. And that gives us that wonkiness. I'm going to select the clock image here. Oh man, look at that. That is not our circle. So I'm just going to do UV unwrap, and it's going to make us a circle. I see some white around the edges here, so I'm just going to scale inwards by a little bit. And now, boom, we got a clock face. Although you'll also notice that the top of the clock right there is 8 o'clock. So I'm just going to click on that, press R to rotate, and we're going to rotate it to be 12 at the top. It's a little crooked still. I'm rotating inside the UV vertiport right there. I want to give this a little bit of depth besides just looking like it's just been cut out. So I'm actually going to scale a little inwards, but I'm going to shift Y so it doesn't go any deeper. So now you see it's we have more curvature around this part rather than it just being taken out like a big chunk. Again, scale, shift Y to get the other directions besides Y, and it'll make it curvy instead of just cutting in. One last thing, guys. What is the clock missing?
Yes.
Yes. I will never ever model human hands in Blender that look at anything remotely accurate, but I can model clock hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a mesh and I'll make a plane. I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm just going to select the edge mode. Move that a bit. I'll then we'll keep the base a little like there. I'm going to extend the back of the base so the clock hand has like a little bit of curvature at the back. I'm going to extrude the front of it and do the trick again with the going into the vertex selection, right clicking, and going into merge vertices at center. Extend that up. I'm going to then, man, this huge hand. I'm going to extrude upwards to give it some depth. Scale inwards. No, that didn't scale perfectly inwards, I don't think. No, it did. Okay. Scale inwards just to make it so it's not just a big chunk. Before I forget, I'm going to talk quickly about face orientation. So to save resources, video games are only going to, like Unity and Godot or any game engine you use, is going to save resources by only showing one side of a face. So what that means is that if you'll only see the outside of the clock because only that will be loaded. If you go inside the clock, none of these inside faces will actually be loaded in an engine. And you can see which faces will be loaded and which faces will not be loaded by going here and clicking face orientation. Did that not click? Damn. Huh.
Because
It's
you're
a-
in
That's supposed.
texture mode.
No, everything should be kind of blue and red. Are you guys seeing blue and red if you do? If you click here and click face orientation, is everything on your screen blue and red? If you
Yeah, because I'm in texture mode.
like, you're in the.
Yeah. If you go inside, the textures are red. If you zoom up.
Yeah, no, I don't know why that's not working for me. Huh, that's odd. I don't think I've had that happen. Well,
What does it do if it works?
so if it works, all the textures should now be tinted blue. For if you can see if it's the correct facing way, if it's the outward face, and they'll be tinted red if it's the inward face. Yeah, I don't know why it's not working.
Well, the red ones are there, but the outward ones are just.
Are you in viewport shading? In your viewport shading mode, what's your object color?
I'm just in material sim.
Alright, and then try doing it there.
Object.
So that's
Okay, your object color is material, so then does it work then? When you turn the texture off,
Wait, isn't it working?
you go to orientation.
What do you mean?
Like what's that saying? Maybe the color's already set to the material color, so it's showing all the
No.
texture.
All right. Well, we'll skip over that one. But just look into face orientation if you're making a complicated model. It's really simple. we're going to go back to the clock hand, and I'm going to give this a texture. I'm just going to select from this drop-down menu the crafting table from before. I'm going to go into UV editing. I'm going to bring back our crafting table image up here. I'm going to select all of it, scale it down into just this blackness so it is all one solid color. From there, I'm going to go to layout mode, and I'm going to scale this down, or first let me flip, I'll scale it down, and then I'll move it over to in front of the clock. I'm gonna RX90 to make it vertical, RZ180 to flip it to the correct direction. And I'm gonna try to put it in front of the clock. So we're getting there, right? That kind of looks like a clock hand. But if we try to rotate it, well, if I make it larger, you'll see the issue more, but it doesn't rotate evenly. This is actually pretty damn decent. Okay, you'll see here, damn, okay. Maybe I'm just great at this. If I move it down here, now it really is not rotating the way you want it to rotate. Because if we want it to rotate where this is the base. This is because of what's known as origins. So this object, which in the hierarchy is just called plane, but if we want to change that, you can just double click on it and call it hand. The origin for the geometry is this little orange dot. Whenever you go in edit mode, so you can move the dot away from the origin, or you can move the geometry away from the origin dot, but we don't want to do that. If ever your origin is really far away from the geometry, you can right click and do set origin and set either your geometry to the origin or your origin to the geometry. What we're going to do, because this origin determines the axis around which the mesh rotates. So I'm going to go into tab, and I'm going to just drag the mesh to be right above that origin, the origin right there. So now if we scale down the arrow, or the hand here, we'll be rotating around this orange dot now. But now just my hand's too large. So yeah, now we rotate around the orange dot, which is placed in the middle of the clock. I'm just gonna add Shift D to duplicate. Scale that hand down a little. And now we have our two hands for the clock. And are able to have our clock face. Yes. Why does our clock tower have what?
A saw and a hammer.
Because that's the texture we used.
Also, you know how sometimes, well actually almost all the time, clocks, the hands on a clock will be anchored to some line, and there's a little, actually I just draw.
There's a clock right there.
Hold up. Yeah. Okay. Hold up.
Currently it's 5:10, so I'm going to quickly set that. Now for the rest of the workshop, I'm going to quickly rotate it every minute to make sure it's accurate. While he's searching for that, anyone else have any questions about anything I did?
All right, got it.
Okay, what's up?
So, oftentimes the handle of the clock is like this, where the axis is in the handle.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is in that. I was just wanting to show that you can change the origin about which the mesh rotates.
Oh, okay.
Someone had a... Oh, I thought I saw some movement over there. All right, guys. We have some time left. Is there anything you guys would want to see? Any burning questions you have about 3D modeling, especially putting it into Unity or what's up?
Actually, I'm trying to add bones to my model.
Trying to add what?
Trying to add bones to my model, and I'm not able to move them.
Well, you know what? In a clock tower, hands would have bones. So I can do a little bit of bones. For that, anyone have any simpler questions? Yes.
So on the handles for the clock tower, they click all the time. Is there a way to like smooth them out, like all the edges?
Oh yeah, right click. Oh, sorry, left click them. Because yeah, you see that. You see that. Oh, I can honestly, I like my hard edges on 3D models, but some people don't. So what you can do is right click, and then shade smooth. And that will. These are still pretty low poly, so it's best seen if I add in object mode a sphere. So if we look at this, you can see all the faces of the sphere, right? If I right click it, shade smooth, now you don't. So that's something really cool in Blender, and that the settings of that will export into whatever engine you're importing the model into. All right. Tunde, you want bones? All right. So bones are tricky because bones involve the use of this object called an armature. So I'm going to add an armature to the scene. I'm going to call it clock tower. So armature, yeah, it's going to just start with a base bone. I'm just going to put that inside of the clock tower. I'm going to use the, right here, the wire mesh view. And first, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to assign I'm going to have to parent the mesh to the bones. So that way, or it's parenting the mesh to the armature. So whenever the base bone moves, the entire mesh will move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select clock tower, and I'm going to select let's call this one tower. Yeah. I'm going to select the hands in the tower, and then I'm going to control click the armature, which I call clock tower, right click, and then it's going to parent under armature to form parent with empty groups. And now all of our meshes disappeared because they are going to be parented underneath the armature. Which again, you can see the armature in the hierarchy because the little guy. So with this bone, I'm going to go into the bone settings because we're going to want to see him. Viewport display. That's this one actually. Viewport display, it's a little guy. Viewport display in front. And now the bone is always going, this is kind of trippy to see, but the bone is always going to be rendered in front of the mesh. Oh, and you can even click it too. It's messing with my view of the space. So we said we're going to parent the armature with empty groups. What that means is that if we move this, oh, it does move. Never mind. If we have multiple bones, those bones are not going to be in control of anything. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's create more bones. To create a bone, you can just extrude, or you have to go into edit mode for the armature, and you can extrude off of the origin bone. Before we do this, I'm going to go into edit mode, or not edit mode, I'm just going to move. I'm going to move the positions of clock hands to both be straight up, or one up, one down. This will make it easier to assign bones later. I'm going to go into the armature, I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to create a new bone. Doesn't matter the size much. Grab the move tool, and you see if I try to move this bone, the other bone wants to move with it. I don't really care about this bone because this bone right here is just our origin. You can name these bones, by the way. And each bone will have in its hierarchy the bones that it's in control of. So I'm going to call this one our root. And this new bone, I'm going to call our minutes. Because we're going to pair this one to the minute hand. Right now, minutes is attached to the root. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the bone down here. I'm going to go into relations. And I'm going to uncheck connected. So again, uncheck connected. You can see that this little orange ball down here is no longer orange. And now I can just throw it wherever I want. I'm personally, oh gosh, it's messing with my view of 3D space again. I'm gonna just put that. Whoa. Okay, wait, I just need this. I need wireframe. This is what wireframe is really good for. I'm gonna put it remotely in front of the clock hand. There we go. I'm going to then select, I'm going to hide the armature for a second using the little I in the hierarchy. I'm going to go into edit mode for this first hand. I'm going to go into the data tab, and we're going to have vertex groups, right? Oh, hold on. So guys, you are seeing my inexperience right now because I forgot we have to create the bones before we can assign it, before we can parent. I'm going to do a little test real quick. I believe we can just parent them again, this time with the new bone. So parent with empty groups. And now if I go into edit mode on this hand, yeah, now we can. So whenever you add a new bone, just select all your meshes again, and then lastly, select the armature, and then parent with empty groups again, and you'll be able to use the new bone. While I'm here, I'm gonna control duplicate on, ooh, no, I did not want to do that. Okay, you want to go to edit mode, control duplicate on the, or I guess you can't control duplicate on the minutes hand. I'm just gonna extrude again from the root node. And then I'm going to go into the relations again, disconnect this one, and I am going to place it in front of the hours hand. RY180. Okay. And then once again, I'm going to select all my meshes, then select the armature, parent. Oh, I have to go into object mode. Parent with empty groups. Okay, now I'm going to hide the armature. I'm going to go into, and wait, sorry, I'm going a little fast. You guys need to catch up or any questions? What I'm doing right now is I'm going to be making it so the bones move the hands individually. So whenever we parent with empty groups. This means that any of the bones that we create besides the root bone, they do not do anything yet. So I'm gonna first name the other bone we just made hours. So that's the bottom one down here, we name hours. I'm gonna hide that again. I'm going to go into this minute hand. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to go into data. And with the minute hand, I'm going to go into this group called minutes, which is the group of mesh that the minute bone is in control of. So we go into edit mode. Oh gosh, we go into edit mode. Oh, okay, we're back. We go into edit mode because we want to select all of the faces of our mesh that we want to be controlled by the minute bone, and then we're going to press assign. And so now this minute hand, if we go to the clock tower and we go object mode and go to pose mode, if we select this and we rotate it about the y-axis, you see you can't see because I'm going to go in front just to see. shapes. Okay, you have to bear with me. The hand is behind. Let me just move these in edit mode real quick to be inside the clock. And now I'm gonna no longer make them in front. I'm gonna go into pose mode. And now if on the y-axis, you see moving the bone, which is the minute bone, I can now move the minute hand. This is basically how bones work. You have mesh, you assign it to a group, which the bone controls how that group of meshes move. And then you can go and create poses by, so the armature has object mode and edit mode like the meshes, but it also has pose mode, which allows you to then work with the bones and move them around. Also in pose mode, if you just select your bone and you right click clear user transformations, it will set the bone back to its default position, which you have defined in the edit mode. Bones are used for character rigging most of the time. They're also used for any animation at all. Besides, I think you can get away with just animations that just scale up and down. You don't need bones for that. But anytime you want to move or distort anything, bones. There are millions, not millions, there are a good couple dozen good YouTube tutorials on how to do character rigging. But this is just the very basics on how to do bones. Because then you have to record your own animations too, which we're not getting into that. I'm just going to end by selecting the hour hand down here, and we're going to assign that to object mode. I'm going to select the hour hand, going to go edit mode, make sure all of its mesh is selected. I'm going to go back to data, and we're going to assign it to hours. And so now it's assigned to the hours hand. So if I go back to the armature, go into pose mode, and I select the hours hand here. Bones, by the way, they will not show up in a viewport in any engine that you import this model into. It's pretty neat, actually. Bones are, at least with Unity, I'm not sure of Godot, but it's probably the same way. You can just import something with bones and it will work fine. You can then now, because we just assigned this hour hand to this bone, you can now rotate it along. Rotate the hour hand according to the bone. So because we did this, we can create animations. I do have 30 more minutes left, actually. You guys want to see a quick animation of the clock hands going spinning? I'm seeing nods. Okay. So now we go into the animation tab, and now it looks crazy. We're going to go back to the material viewport. We're going to select our armature, and we're in pose mode. I don't like this unnecessary window over here, so I'm going to just drag. So what I did there was I just dragged the top right corner here, and I just collapsed it into the other window. Now going to grab our little tab of things, and I'm going to press A, so that's going to select all of our bones. I'm going to go back and make from the data to viewport display, I'm going to make the bones go back and front so I can easily edit them. I'm going to press right click while in this animation tab, and I'm going to do insert keyframe. And now I'm going to go about 100. Let's go 60. Oh, like minutes, like 60 minutes, guys. I'm going to select the minute hand, and I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees, so RY 180. And so now it's down there. And let's say the hour hand is going to move ever so, oh, that's the root. The hour hand, which is now being overlapped, so I'm going to go to that bone in the hierarchy. Hour hand's going to move a little bit in 30 minutes. do that. And I'm going to insert keyframe. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy. So down here, this is our action editor. It basically keeps track of any events that we are inserting keyframes for. So I'm going to click the top of the first one, which is summary. So it just selects everything. And I'm going to paste it at 120 or 119. So this could be 120 frame animation. And so now what is going to happen is we're going to go here and we're going to reset back. I'm going to actually delete that with X delete keyframes. I want it to go all the way around. So I'm actually going to, in the clock tower actions, I'm going to select so A to select all of them. I'm going to copy the first movement of the hours and paste that at 120 because I want the hour hand to move back at the end of the animation. But I want the minute hand to go all the way back, go all the way around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the minute hand and I'm going to, very important, I'm going to drag it where I want it on the new keyframe, on the timeline down there. If I'm not explaining things very well, my apologies. I'm trying to kind of rush through this part. Didn't expect to be doing it. I'm going to rotate the minute hand bone, RY 180. Oh. Just going to bring that back up to the top. And what's going to happen, right? Well, first I'm going to insert keyframe. And I'm going to drag this back to 119, so it's 119 frame animation. And we go here, we go start 1, end 120. And if I press play, it went back up. Oh, I see, just going back. I need to make, so what's happening in between these keyframes is that every time step, Blender is looking at the way to linearly interpolate the position of the bones, like position, rotation, and scale of the bones from your previous keyframe to the next keyframe. So when our first keyframe is this, I'm gonna have to hide those bones again. Okay, when our first keyframe is this, and our second keyframe is this, Blender's like, oh, I know what to do. I'll just rotate it, right? But when our third keyframe is back up to here, Blender's gonna be like, oh, I know what to do. I'll just rotate it back the other way. It's not gonna go, oh, I'm gonna go around the clock. And so what you do for an instance like this is you put a middle keyframe for the bone in question. So in this case, it's the minute bone. Select that. And I'm going to go around here, around 85 or something in the middle. And I'm going to say, no, silly, you should be over there. And now I'm going to insert that keyframe. Now, if we go back to our full animation, oh, I'm going backwards, whoops. So if we go to our, because there's a play backwards and play forwards button. By the way, at here you can show us what frame to start at and what frame to end at, and then it will loop. So now it should go all the way.
Wow.
Oh, that's...
Man, okay. That is really funny.
That is a very expressive clock right there. You've got a lot to say.
Wait, now I'm curious. Okay, I go here. I'm going to move the minute hand. I'm going to go at like 68. I'm going to move it right there. Is it going to keep doing the same stuff? Okay, I'll be honest. I don't know.
I think you should do start from 0
Mhm.
to 120 first, and then cut in half so that it finished the whole round, and then you cut in the middle.
Oh.
So it doesn't,
I see what you're saying.
yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And then when you do it, you just stop it.
Yeah.
119 frames.
Because I can do a 360-degree translation and it will record that. That's a good point. That's a good point. So I'm going to keep the keyframe at the start, and I'm going to select the minutes hand, which again, the bones are just inside right now. I'm going to have it go RY a full 300, RY a full 360. I'm going to go with the hours hand, RY a full 1. And I'm going to insert keyframes. Or I'm going to select all of them and insert keyframe. So minutes hand is still being like that. So would you recommend now doing the one in the middle?
You gotta do an old school one-to-one animation every single frame.
You know what? I should be hand drawing this.
Yeah.
Like I said before, plenty of tutorials online about rigging and animation in Blender. It's been a good while. Actually, hold up. I still probably have it open. So if we look here, right, I made this in 2023 for a little modeling competition. I made really terrible tiny Pokemon. I have them doing a little jig, right? That's the extent of my animation expertise. That is the most complicated thing I have made animation-wise in Blender. But I've not had run into something like a clock face where you have to see a full 360-degree rotation. My guess is that you might have to actually have more divides in it. Like if I don't know, if I try rotating on the y-axis here, inserting the keyframe, go here, say no silly over here, insert keyframe, go here. Okay, see? It's listening this time. That is genuinely funny. Okay, wait. Wait, I just want, what does that even look like? All right, guys. So I'm not going to touch animation anymore, but you know where the resources. This is basically how you do animations. 360-degree rotations, maybe. Get ready for a fight, but any other things desired for Blender today? Any questions, concerns? All right, guys. Oh.
Can you speedrun making a 3D A?
A 3D, the letter A?
Yes.
Easy.
Speedrun.
Speedrun right now?
Okay, wait, hold on. I'm gonna time
Time it. You ready? Ready?
almost. Let me go to clock. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Text. Edit mode. Move the text. A. Object mode. Gonna move that over here. R. What? X. 270. Oh, it's. Can I move you on? Oh, R, X. Yeah, there we go. And it needs to be 3D, so we're gonna go to the geometry tab, and we're gonna do the depth. We're gonna extend that. Whoa! Too much depth. And oh, I see. It's like curved now. Oh, that's new. 3D A. A plus actually.
4 seconds.
I could beat that.
You be nice.
Jomar? I have to 3D. Oh man, I got a 3D model of Jomar.
Wait, no.
Yeah, basically, letters and such are really easy. You just do text and use the text tools. Anything else?
Sharon,
Yeah.
can you put my face on a Minecraft villager?
Your face on a Minecraft villager.
Speedrun. No, just kidding.
I'll just choose not to.
Do you want a reference?
Commission.
All right, guys, if that's it, no more questions. That's the end of the workshop. Thank you for attending.
W workshop. Thank you.
All right.
Yes. I'm one.
Oh no.